States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, Laura. And I guess just to announce to everybody, Laura's sitting in for Mayor French.
Yes.
Thank you for recently elected Rice City official.
City Council.
City Council. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right.
Congratulations. Okay.
Call the Rye-Town Park Commission meeting of January 17, 2012 to order. Joseph Sack emailed he may not make the meeting, but he didn't say he was going to be absent. Benedict Salanitro.
Here.
Joan Feinstein.
Here.
Dennis Pilla. I know he has a meeting for the Village of Portchester. Douglas French is represented by Laura Brett and Joseph Carvin.
Yes.
Okay. We do have a quorum.
Wonderful. Praise the Lord. Thank you, Goldie. Any comments on the minutes of either of the two meetings, December 20th or January 7th?
Right, I do. With respect to the December 20th minutes on the second page under B7, my comments were that we should decide sooner rather than later. I would add, and I'll give this to you, Bishop, and she was inclined to keep the fees the same as last year.
Ah, okay.
We are going to talk about the fees tonight.
Yes, but I did say that publicly.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That I was inclined to.
And we'd like to adhere.
Right. Well, I just thought it was, and I have a.
Oh, sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So I have those. I have some typos, which I won't bother you with.
Okay.
In both meetings. But I also we didn't approve the November 15th minutes at our last meeting.
Ooh.
So
It says held over, yes.
That's right, because we were short-staffed at that point.
Right.
That's right. I'll bring them back
so
the
we
next
should just
meeting.
do that at the next meeting
Right.
for those who haven't read them.
Well, we can't do these either, I should say. These minutes can't be approved either,
Why?
because Laura wasn't here.
Okay.
Well, actually, by law, believe it or not. By law, by the way, she is allowed to.
Oh, okay.
But most people, I will tell you, do abstain.
Defer.
But by law, you can legally vote on them.
Well, I would assume a 3-1 vote would accept the minutes.
3-0.
Or am I wrong there?
So we rolled it over.
Put you in the hot seat in the first 15 minutes.
Or you can just hold it over.
Okay, we can hold those over as well.
Because
Okay.
really, by law, you have to have a draft. You have to have
Good.
a draft within 2 weeks.
All right,
So we'll hold over
fine.
the meeting.
This way I can get your corrections in.
Yep, perfect. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, well, straight to comments from the public. So I already know what she's going to say. How come we can't get Oakland Beach on this thing? Can I anticipate your comment? Can we get Oakland Beach? Huh? Any more concerts? I'm prepared to stipulate.
I'm not going to bring that up.
Okay.
The Rye-Town Oakland Beach
Yes.
is the most beautiful historic beach in Rye-Town. Not only that, but the people of Portchester love it. It takes them a while to get there because we are a low-income to a middle-income community, and we are in a recession depression. We have big problems right now because a lot of the stores are empty, and a lot of people have lost their jobs and everything. But the Rye-Town Oakland Beach Park is an incredible park. The problem is right now, please consider that this year, if we can do something about the parking for Portchester residents, the cost of parking may hurt them a lot, because if they don't have their jobs and they want the kids to come and be on the beach, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful historic park. If they want them to be on the beach, how are they going to do that if the parking fees are too high? So please consider that we are a low-income to middle-income community. We have more off the tax rolls than any other village our size. Our taxes are killing us, and there are big problems here. But we need help, and the Park Commission should help with the parking at least, and whatever fees that it's going to cost them to get in there. Because we are part of Rye-Town, and we need help. So please help us, okay?
Thank you, Goldie. We're going to be discussing fees this evening, so we'll comment on that when we talk about that. Any other questions, comments from the public? Please.
My name is Megan McGrady. I'm from the American Cancer Society in White Plains, and our American Cancer Society kind of overlooks all of Westchester County. I'm actually coming to you guys tonight, and I'm not sure what kind of information you have on this, if you got any beforehand, but we're looking to start a Relay for Life in Rye. It's the American Cancer Society's premier fundraiser. It's an overnight event where everyone from the community is invited, schools, neighborhoods, kids, families. It's really a community, family-friendly event. We have 13 other ones in Westchester County, and we're looking to bring it to Rye this year. So I won't bore you with the details of step-by-step through the event, but it's from sundown to sunup, and we need some sort of track, which I know that Ryetown Park does have some sort of track, but it doesn't necessarily have to be one that's already made. We can make our own. And we're looking to ask perhaps if Ryetown Park might be a good fit to bring Relay to the Rye area this year. So there are lots of benefits for Ryetown Park. I mean, we're a fantastic nonprofit organization. We give a lot back to the community. And some of the things that we would just be asking, like I mentioned, we need some sort of track or just some sort of large area to have people walk overnight. We also need an area where people could set up tents overnight because people do stay over. And we can bring in our own lighting. We can bring in our own portable bathrooms. And we're just looking for a place that is big, open, friendly, that a lot of people are familiar with. I'm the staff person that's charged with kind of overseeing the Relay for Life of Rye and getting it started here. So I did take a look at the park, and I think that it would be a great facility. I mean, based on conversations that, we would obviously have to have, but it's something that right now the Rye community is very much behind. We have lots of volunteers because it is a volunteer-run event and staff-supported. So we have lots of volunteers from Rye who are behind it. We have the backing of the high school, Rye High School. Patty Taylor has been fantastic. And we're looking to reach out, to town of Rye, to Port Chester, to the whole area. So right now, like I said, we're having a little bit of trouble trying to secure a location. But there are 5,200 in the entire country that take place every spring. And that's the time period that we're looking for, sometime between April and June, July if we would have to. We're very flexible. So I know there's a lot of information, and I'm not sure if you have any questions.
One quick question is, one of the things we look to do is, if we support an event like this, is to defray the costs.
Yes.
Additional costs that we incur to put in. Is that something that
we do have a budget, and we can take on expenses. Okay. We like to keep them as low as possible, obviously, just because we are a nonprofit. But it is something that we can handle.
Any comments from the commissioners?
Is there anything? We have evening events. Are there anything in the legislation? I'm just trying to recall which says about events or holding it's a park. Or rules which would prohibit an event throughout the night. And the reason I mention this is we in Rybrook have an event. We have very specific rules and regulations which would prohibit it under certain circumstances. And we have an event in May this will be the third year, where people spend the night, and this simulates homelessness. Mm-hmm. And I know some of the parameters that are involved. So that was the first question. Is there anything? I don't think so.
We don't have any. There's nothing in the legislation, certainly, that prevents us from doing this. So. There are issues depending on when this would be done. We have evening events, for example, that go on. We have Seaside Johnny's is running. So there depending on when you want to do it, during the season, if you will, that becomes a little problematic. Perhaps.
Seaside Johnny probably would enjoy it.
Well, I think they might enjoy it because they would get a substantial amount of revenue from it.
Right.
There is another concern, and my daughter happened to chair one of these up in Binghamton, so I'm familiar with the event. It's a very nice event. People have a great time at it, and it obviously is for charity. But typically, this is done on a track, on a high school track or a school track, etc. The concern I have is that our lighting in the park is inadequate. Our boardwalk right now is, I would say, there's some concerns. If you're a walker there, you'll understand there are dips and valleys and so forth, that if people are walking at night, I'm not sure that Rye Town Park is configured and safe for this kind of event. That would be my concern.
Bill?
Right. Just I met Megan at the. I met Megan at what?
This is my mic.
I didn't want to get into her space. So we met at the Rye Chamber of Commerce meeting last Wednesday, and she was there to introduce her project to the Rye Chamber, and I just happened to be sitting at the same table, and I said, there might be a possibility that we could work something out. Now, that's where we are at this point. It's very preliminary, but I had said to Megan that she should go over and look at the park to get some idea of what it is, because it's not Rye High School's track, obviously.
Right.
So there would have to be a variety of changes made from the sort of the template that they use. But on the other hand, because it's a charity that all of us are concerned about, and I personally am very much involved with what's going on with cancer research and things like that. So I think that it's a very important charity that communities, it's giving them a chance to really do something tangible about an issue that we're all concerned about. So
I think that's absolutely right.
So I just say that I'm willing to spend time trying to iron out all the potential problems and figure out what we could do to surmount them. It may be that it's not going to work out, or that we wouldn't be able to do it in time for this year, but I think we should at least explore it. And I said to Megan that if we are going to come up with a proposal, it would be at the February meeting.
Great. Well, why don't you, that's a wonderful suggestion, but why don't you work with Megan and Bishop and park staff, other park staff, Mr. Joffrey, and come up with some suggestions, and I think that sounds great. I'd love to make it happen. I'd love to see it make it happen. Obviously, please.
Sure. Before you go, just a couple of questions that maybe you can address at the next meeting.
Absolutely.
Because I think that there may be some neighborhood concerns. I'm curious about the numbers of people that normally attend this kind of events. What kind of wear and tear there might be on the park, because it is a park. Most of it is covered with grass. So, how long do people camp there, and what do you do about food for the people who are there, and how would you make provisions for that?
Okay.
And also specifically, if there is a relay, where are you planning on doing the relay? Is it going to be just along that gravel area, or do you anticipate using creating some sort of circle around the park?
Yes.
Certainly been done before. The triathlon goes through there, and there are quite a few people who come through at that time. But that's something that I think we should at least be aware of at the next meeting. And then finally, just how much light is there? There are a couple people here who actually live on the park right here.
Yes.
And so just in terms of addressing some of the issues that may come up for the Rye residents, how much imposition would it be on the people who live in that area, and also what kind of police service might you need from the Rye Police Department? Okay. Thank you.
I can address some of those now, but if you'd rather wait
sure.
until February, I can.
I think once you come with a comprehensive package in February,
Okay, that's great. But I do think it sounds like, the American Cancer Society is a terrific charity, and I think it could be great exposure for the park and reach people who've never been to the park before, because it really is a beautiful resource for anybody who lives nearby. So I think it's something we should talk about.
What time of year was this planned for?
Spring.
Spring, okay.
And ideally, we would like it to have it this year.
The commission is, working on hopefully developing and having a policy in place. So I would just say that in February, if there is an approval, there might be some things that we would add if the policy, does come through. So I wouldn't want it to be grandfathered if we're working on developing a policy, is what I'm trying to say. There might be conditions that we would ask for.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Megan. Thanks for coming. Thank you, Bill. Any other comments from the public?
May I just add one,
please.
because Councilwoman Brett really raised great points that we've dealt with in Rybrook also. The police, additional presence, also EMS on the scene as well. Because that's really
Bill,
crucial. And all the things that I will just share with you. In Rybrook, and you probably know this, our budding neighbors, when we have this all night, we actually send out notices to alert them in advance to be a good neighbor. So if we go go down that path. It's really crucial that people who live around the park are given notice of what's happening.
Great, thank you. And yeah, Bill,
Written notice.
would you make sure you cover all the bases
Yeah.
that have been expressed? Wonderful. Great. Any other comments from the public? If not, are we going to get a presentation from Jordan Triathlon? It doesn't look like they're here tonight.
I don't see them, and I'm surprised.
Okay.
Because we pushed them off from December.
All right.
And suggested a January meeting. Let me follow up with them.
Perfect.
You may see them at the February meeting instead.
Okay.
But I know that they wanted to come in and do a presentation in front of the commission.
Okay. Now, you have financial operations report, but there's no real report here other than the revenues, Bishop. That's tied up with the fees.
Well, that's. We have a draft report. I don't know how you want to handle that.
Well, it wasn't in the packet.
It was
My
not in the
understanding is the
packet.
last meeting I wasn't here. Maybe comment Mayor Feinstein or Commissioner Salanitro that there was a view that we didn't want more estimates, that we want definitive numbers. We don't have definitive numbers tonight. That was what I understood to be expressed at the last meeting, but I wasn't here.
That's correct. And the question is how long. I understand that it's a moving target. There are a few areas that, in particular, need to be finalized. But when can we expect, since its fiscal year has really ended?
I talked to
It's important that we be able to get an idea of what the number is.
Sure. I talked with the town accountant who also is at the village meeting today as well, so he can't be here either. Audited definitive numbers, it's probably going to be a stretch to get those for February. He's given all the information he needs to the accountant. If the accountant gets it ready, we'll hopefully have definitive numbers. We should be very close to definitive number for the next meeting. If not, it'll be the March meeting. So if you're talking about fully audited financials, then it may be more difficult for the next meeting.
Well, no, not audited, because you won't have the audited numbers till actually the audit is complete, and the audit won't be complete for a few months.
Well, right. So therefore,
so at least, but
in terms of
close enough that they're not a material difference.
We'll have those for next meeting. So he assures me we're not going to be over the $150,000 that have been discussed, and so there's no negative surprises. We're hoping there'll be some positive surprises. So we'll have a close enough number for next February.
And the reason I think it's important, as we're discussing fees for next year, I mean, you're always doing it in the backdrop of what the performance was this year, even though you can't equate one year to the other because of the various factors, including, as we look at the calendar, be a big factor that July 4th is not on a weekend. That's a big factor.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you think that impacts?
Because you don't have a long weekend.
Well, you'll have a long weekend.
No, you won't, because July 4th is on a Wednesday.
Oh.
Yeah, you'll just have the one
So
day.
believe it or not, that impacts the revenue as we're looking
Positive
at numbers.
or negatively?
Negatively. Potentially.
Interesting.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, and that's why that calendar, I thank you, was so important. I appreciate it. Because I wouldn't have known that. So thank you.
Great. Okay, interesting. All right. Good. Well, that's a good segue to so we'll have the numbers for next meeting, and then the segue to the fees conversation. So I think the staff recommendation is no change in the fees. I think your recommendation was no change in the fees. I think
Let me explain why my recommendation is no change in the fees. Because we don't know what the impact of the fees have really been. It was just 1 year. We had a more difficult weather season, to say the least. One of the things that we did achieve was bringing more residents from the city of Rye and more Rye-town residents back to the park. So therefore, it didn't have a negative effect. We don't know whether or not there was a negative effect by non-residents. One of the things that I have said is possibly because of the inclement weather, people may not want to travel as far if they know it may be overcast or cloudy or a chance of rain. So that might be the reason why we have non-residents. I think that the first year is a trial, so to speak. And we know that it's important about revenue, but I think it was said so well at our community conversation that we have to look at the fact of a deficit as an investment in the quality of life. So, I mean, that's why I kind of think that we should try one more year. And I also think that in a marketing scheme, it looks good, the fact that you're not increasing it all as well. So those are just some of my preliminary thoughts.
Commissioner Salanitro, did you have any advice?
Well, I tend to agree with that. I did want to raise the issue that we at least I think I raised at the end of last season, which was the 5 p.m. rush that we get a good population of people at or about 5 p.m. when there's no fee, and whether we need to try to capture some of the economics there. There was a discussion about the lifeguards leaving at 5 and whether it would be permissible to charge without a lifeguard, and I think council spoke to that. So, do we want to talk about that? We can talk about it.
Let me just ask you that, Commissioner Salanitro. So, if a change were to be made, what would happen?
Well, currently, the beach is open. There is no access fee for the beach after 5 p.m.
Right.
And our staff has told us that at around 5 o'clock, there's this mad rush of people that look to get onto the beach. And at least till dusk, maybe, a little beyond that point, there could be up to 100 some odd people on the beach. Personnel, we still have personnel on staff. So we try to balance the equation here. In other words, our staff time comes in earlier than the population comes in, and typically leaves after the population, leaves as well. However, there's this gap of 5 p.m. till, I don't know,
say 8 o'clock.
8?
Yeah.
That we're not getting any revenue, and I think it's easily captured.
Well, yep. Any other suggestions, Commissioner Salanitro?
That was the only one. I think the other fee that we added last year for the $2 token fee has worked out well. I think we have some numbers on that as well, right?
Yep.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All the revenues are broken down on that next page if you see them.
That night beach access was
$11,000.
$11,238.
Right. That's $2 and $5, right?
And that's just on those fireworks nights, just those 2 fireworks nights. So you're probably averaging about $5,000.
So it's not weekdays $2 all cars.
Nope.
So you have it. Yeah, this sheet's wrong then, right?
That's just for beach access, right?
No. You're looking at parking fees where you see all cars. If you look at beach access as the next column.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Typically, beach access is free as a general rule, except Fridays and Wednesdays during fireworks season only.
Okay.
Permit holders get on for free.
Got it.
Non-permit holders we ask for $2.
Perfect.
And we capture $11,000 of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that's just
the beach access.
Beach entry. That's not parking.
Correct.
That's correct.
Parking is separate.
Again, permit holders get a break. Non-permit holders are the ones that are being asked to pay the fee.
I had some suggestions as well, but
I'm going to pass along.
Councilwoman?
I'm going to pass along. Mayor French had said that he pretty much wanted to keep the fee structure as it had been last year, for a lot of the same reasons that Mayor Feinstein had said. That essentially, last season it was the first go-round with this, and we had some bad weather, so it's good to kind of hold the course on this. The only exception is that $2 fee for on fireworks night. We've gotten a fair number of complaints within Rye from residents who are surprised by the $2 fee because it is a change from prior years, or at least that's their memory. And this commission can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But we've certainly had a fair number of people complaining about the $2 fee, and people feel it's unfair because it's not Rytown Park putting on the fireworks, but it's the Playland fireworks, and if they walk down the boardwalk, they can go watch them for free. So I think they just feel sort of it's an unfair. It's a new tax on residents who live around the park, who have actually the imposition of the fireworks twice a week, and normally at least have the benefit of being able to see the fireworks for free on the town beach. They do feel that it is kind of unfair to pay that $2. So I will pass that along for what it's worth, but I think I can tell you that I've heard quite a few people personally object to it, and I know that they've come to Rye City Council meetings to complain about it, and I don't know if anybody has come to these commission meetings to complain about them, but I've certainly heard a fair number of complaints from residents about that $2 fee.
Great, thank you, Ken.
The rationale for that was very simple. We have to put more staff people to operate, and we didn't want to subsidize an event that, although we're not hosting it, our beach is the biggest attraction. So we're just trying to balance the cost that Rytown Park is incurring because of this event that
cleanup.
Right.
We have extra
Lot.
trash collection
So it's
on
just
the
a
beach.
token fee, not a large fee, not an exorbitant fee, to cover some simple, expenses.
One possible way to capture some of that additional cost would be to raise parking fees on fireworks night. That would hit everybody who comes into park, and it was certainly a service that the city, the park offers. Is parking, the access to parking near the beach. So I don't know. I think that we could possibly capture back some of that revenue in parking. The other
that would basically you're drawing a line around the local park residents and saying, okay, you don't have to pay anything.
No,
you never have to pay.
absolutely.
In fact, they don't. Presumably, if you live next to the park and you never,
You don't even need a permit.
Pardon me?
You don't even need a permit.
If you want to get on the beach.
Yep.
If you live next to the park and you want to go to the beach, how do you? You'd have to buy a resident family, I guess, and then you'd be done.
Right. And there's
So
no,
if you paid
no
$130, if you're a family, you pay $130, and you never have to pay again. Would the resident permit holder have to pay on the fireworks night?
No.
If they have a resident permit.
Permit holders
So,
are
I
free.
think the thing is,
for
quite
fireworks
frankly, if I'm
nights.
honest, I think the people that live around the park probably are not contributing to the revenues generated by the park because they're not driving to the park. And so as a result, and they're not buying the permits, I think, most of if they're complaining about the $2 fee, they're not buying the permit.
Right. Well, I mean, they are taxpayers, right? So they contribute to the park in that respect. And they're residents, and so they bear a lot of burden of the park, to the extent there's traffic around the park in the evenings or on fireworks night or on holiday weekends. I think so I think that people who live around the park often feel like that the one benefit that they get out of the park is occasional usage of the park, whether it's by walking their dogs or walking through the park, but also on fireworks night. It is something that they've done for years. All the time that Playland's been having those fireworks, is they've been able to go to the park on fireworks night. I've done it myself. You walk down there, you watch the fireworks, you go home. And to ask for a fee of $2, I think people really did object to that new fee. The other problem with the $2 fee is that there is no way there's no way to set controls on the collection of that fee. So from what I understand, it's a purely cash business at the door, and so there's no way for the commission to audit how many people actually come and go, and whether or not that fee is being collected from everyone, and all the rest. So there's potential for unfairness and things like that.
That's how the whole business is. It's not only at night. It's a cash business all around.
It is, except that we can count cars, and there's been discussion of counting cars, and there's been discussion of putting in turnstiles, and so we're trying to move in the direction.
We're count the people coming into the beach for $2.
We're trying to move in the direction of finding controls for these things. I don't know if turnstiles are going to go in this year, but we are trying to move in the direction of greater controls at the park. And I think this is one area where there are no controls on evenings when they're collecting money for people to go on the beach.
So basically, I think what I actually had some suggestions as well. Did you have any other suggestions?
No, that was it. That was it.
So I actually was looking at the permit holders. We had a big increase in permit holders, and quite frankly, I buy a permit every summer and spend a lot of time at the beach. And I kind of look at a $130 resident family fee and think, we could increase that. So I ran some. So if you increased it $15, that would generate another $6,000 in revenue for the park. Resident single, if you took that up 15, you'd $8. Well, so something to discuss. I think, one of the questions I have with so many people out tonight, I'm wondering if we shouldn't put off the final decision until next month. I'm prepared to do it either way.
Well, I think probably we should wait till next month, but I don't think we can wait longer than next month.
No, the intention was to have it.
We certainly know that if you look at the numbers and the increase in permits from 2010 to 2011, it was the fact that we were able to get the letters out so early. I mean, because the increase in permits was, really remarkable as far as the number of units. When you're talking about a resident family went from 245 to 429, I do think it's attributable to the fact that there was certainty and everyone knew, and they signed up early.
Exactly. So my suggestion would be that we consider increasing actually resident families by $15 and resident singles by $15, non-resident as well, although there's very few of them, permit holders. But the real, and at the risk of never ever being reelected again, I wanted to, the seniors, I wanted to think about increasing the fees paid by seniors as well. I think the $20 permit is a huge subsidy. I don't think it would be untoward to ask for $35. And they also park for free. I would have thought that we could ask them to pay $1. Again, so there's this dramatic subsidy there, but it's, again, I've been thinking about these issues a lot, but means testing, I'm not that far away from being a senior. And so why should I be subsidized as a senior if I don't need to be subsidized? So that was another. So I was kind of thinking I'd increase permits $15 sort of across the board, and that would generate $17,000 to $20,000 in additional revenue. And if you charge the seniors $1, whatever additional income we would get from that. So, we're looking at $20,000 additional there. Now, Benny, Commissioner Salanitro,
yes.
Your recommendation was what again?
To consider either extending the hours of the evening hour beyond 5 p.m., or having a 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. or whatever time commission for beach access only.
Beach access, which we're not charging right now.
That's the highest cost for us in terms of employee cost, because you have the cleanup effort, sanitation removal. There's a lot more going on the beach than it is in the parking. Although we do have parking attendants too. I'm not trying to pick sides here, but there's an expense. And
so just to understand your proposal, so you're recommending that we charge for beach access after 5 o'clock, where we're not, all days of the week, rather than just the fireworks nights. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's my recommendation.
And then, Councilwoman Brett, you're recommending that we take away the $2 fee. Well, obviously, it'd be for all nights, not just
right.
There's currently no charge the other nights.
Right.
Okay. Well, look, I think what I'd like to recommend, Brenda, please.
And my concern about raising any of the fees and the permit fees, if you look at the breakdown, and I thank you very much for the breakdown, many times you pay the fees and you don't use the services, and so it's just additional revenue. Because people may use a permit just to have it, thinking that it's going to be advantageous. If you really look at the breakdown, sometimes it's not so advantageous as it turns out. I wouldn't want to turn those people off by even $15, saying, well, they're raising it again. So you can flip it the other way.
Well, that's why I think what I wanted to recommend, especially with 3 of the commission members out this evening, is that if people are happy, I'll write up the recommendations. And then what I'd like to have is, and then actually, I think maybe we could talk about now, Mayor French was also suggesting we take another hard look at cost control and reduction in costs. Mm-hmm. And I think maybe we could ask our finance committee to really come up with some, for example, Commissioner Salanitro saying one of our biggest costs is, the cost of supporting the beach activity tonight from 5 to 8, where we get no revenue. So I'd like to get some insight into that, if we could, better understand that. And, if Mr. Joffrey and Mr. Lawyer are available, Terry were available, Mr. Nowotnik and Paula, maybe come up with a preliminary budget to see, again, where we can take costs out of the park going forward, and then we can look at these various proposals. Again, whether we're prepared to accommodate another $150,000 investment in the park, or we want to try and get closer to break even, accommodate so I think that we're all agreed we broadly want to keep the fee rate intact. So we're all agree with that. And I think we're each suggesting minor tweaks so that it doesn't blemish in any way, the expectation for another season at these rates, to see what the reality is going to be. But we each have our sort of tweaks, and what I'd like to do is give it a full vetting and figure out where we come out with the budget and the numbers. between now and next time. Is that wonderful? Thank you, Terry.
One of the things,
Terry, would you go up to the mic, please?
Just one of the things I think you should look at is Monday and Tuesday nights, we keep 2 people in the parking booth, and we charge $2. Monday night is volleyball night, and most people don't pay to come in. So I have 2 people there for 4 hours who are basically collecting no money.
Sorry, I didn't understand. They are or they're not collecting after 5
They're
o'clock?
not. Well, they're there, but most of the people that come in on Mondays are volleyball.
They're already
Because
prepaid.
They're
it's in
already
their fee.
prepaid.
Right.
So I'm paying people 4 hours.
Right. Well, those are exactly the kinds of recommendations we're
Right.
looking for when you sit down with Paul,
Right.
Fred, Bill.
And on Tuesdays
and,
until concerts, it's the same thing. I have people there and nobody comes in. So I think, your cost is outweighing your revenue on those 2 nights.
That's very helpful. So if we can think about it, I think last year we got down to an hourly, and maybe when you program the summer forward, you take those hours out. That's exactly the kinds of things we're looking for.
Right.
And just another question. I was actually attending the meeting when you last talked about opening the park after 5 p.m. or opening the beach after 5 p.m. and charging for beach access after 5 p.m. And one of the questions was whether or not we would be required to have lifeguards on those nights. Would you be required to keep lifeguards until 7 because that was a cost factor?
No.
Right. Okay.
Council.
All right.
No, it's
Council
Okay.
find
no.
out.
No.
The signs will say there's no lifeguards, no swimming.
Okay. So
Might I suggest, since it's important to put this to bed, maybe we could meet in February at 5:30 and dedicate the first half hour.
I will say it's very difficult for me to get here at 5:30 from work.
We'll cover it. We'll cover it. We'll have time.
difficult
But I
getting here
do
at
want
6.
to. We'll have time.
Yeah.
We'll try and generate a consensus ahead of the next meeting.
We're going to try to do the
So we
budget.
don't-
We're going to do the fee schedule and the budget next month. Is that
Yes.
what we're going to do?
Yeah. Now, actually, talking about next month,
We haven't seen a draft of the budget yet.
No,
you haven't.
So we'll get in our packages.
Yes, you will get in.
I don't know if we'll actually be able to vote on it.
That's why I asked the question.
Right?
You'll get it.
We
You'll
never
get
vote.
it in
There's
advance.
always an
do the fees
expectation,
first.
right? In terms of, is there any other comments or questions about the fee schedule? Okay. Talking before I forget, the next meeting, somebody pointed out that I think the children's vacation, the kids' vacation, is the week of the 20th of February, which is the third Tuesday. So I'm confident that's not going to work well for much of any of us.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see, do we want to go to the 14th or the 28th? Or now you have meetings.
I had meetings both on the 14th and the 28th.
So what can we? 29th of February. That's
Wow.
we got an extra
you have a
day.
special day.
A special day just for this.
Just for this meeting.
This year there is Goldie.
this year there's 29.
This year's 29.
Leap year.
It's a leap year, Goldie. That's why it's so special. Yeah.
Not on my calendar.
Do we want to do the 29th?
Senior discount.
That would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Mr. Salanitro?
That's fine.
All right.
Fine,
So I
fine.
don't need
Sure.
a resolution.
You're going to have a Sadie Hawkins dance to go to.
Do I need to vote on this?
Yeah, I'll do a motion that our
Can I get a
next
motion
meeting
that our next meeting
be moved from the third Tuesday in February to the fifth Wednesday.
1, 2, 3, fifth Wednesday. I like that. Yeah.
The fifth Wednesday in
Can I get a
February.
second?
All right.
Second.
Okay.
Okay.
That'll be the
Yes.
commission meeting.
Terrific. And I would assume that we have Commissioner Salanitro.
Yes.
Commissioner Feinstein.
Yes.
Commissioner Brett.
Yes.
In this case, and Commissioner Carvin.
Yes.
What do you have? Right, council meetings. You don't have it on the 5th.
Tri-City. Yeah.
You know, it's very fun. I don't have my calendar with me.
But you don't usually have it on the 5th Wednesday.
I know, we usually have them on Wednesdays.
I would think you're going to be off on the 29th.
I think you're going to be off on the 5th Wednesday, unless you've changed your meetings.
So we have all night to
We
talk
might have
about
changed that meeting from the 27th.
We'll have all night to talk
But
about it.
Okay,
I'll
great,
talk to
thank
you
you.
and get back to you.
Okay, great. Now, the other issue, just on fees, again, that we won't resolve this evening, but we wanted to talk about, again, we'll finalize in the fair, and that is, so tonight it's more for discussion than anything else. The staff is proposing, how do we deal with not-for-profits? I've talked about this for a while. The staff's recommending, effectively, if you look at that memo, that email, it's a little tough to get through this, so I apologize, but basically, based on Bill's recommendations, the suggestion is that for the pavilion, we move on the weekends and holidays, we raise the rate from 400 to 500. So we keep it the same on weekdays, and we raise the rate from 400 to 500. So that's another rate change, if you will. We'll put that in the memo that's circulated, just so everybody has it, okay? So we're not yet to the nonprofits, I apologize. This is another proposed rate change. And similarly for the beach barbecue, we're looking to increase it by $25 on the weekends and holidays as well. So those are two further rate changes, okay? And we'll put that all in a memo, suggestion.
Okay.
The beach barbecues are only $75. They're not $100.
Now.
Right now.
Oh, is that right?
Okay.
Not $100.
Okay, so why don't we go from 75 to 100 then? This is a recommendation.
On the weekend, right. The 125 would go to 100.
Right, so where you have 100 should be 75, thank you.
That's correct.
And on the weekend, it should, now with the proposals, they go to 100.
Go to 100.
Good, okay, so that's the last chapter, the fees, and then we'll incorporate that there. Now, not-for-profits, the recommendation from staff is effectively they pay 50% rate of whatever the rate we ultimately determine. That's the recommendation for staff. One of the things I wanted to understand is what you do in Rye Brook.
I will tell you.
What you do in Rye City, and wanted to hear what people, great.
Well, first of all, I saw the recommendation for not-for-profits was not to differentiate between those not-for-profits within the town and those outside, or the city without, so it's number one.
Right.
And my other question, as long as we're discussing this, I would assume that you would want to have a uniform policy, not only in Rye Town Park, but also Crawford Park. So you shouldn't do something, we should not be voting here, I mean, we could vote differently, to say the least. But one of the facilities that we have is Pasilipo Center. And I knew you were going to ask the question, so right before I came here, I looked it up, okay? Because
you didn't have to tell us, you could have pretended it was like off the top of your head.
You'd know better than that. We have different fees depending upon how many hours. Pasilipo Center is our big senior center, and there are different fees for residents and non-residents, and depends whether you have access to the kitchen facilities or not. But the most that this would, for 4 hours, the highest amount would be for the kitchen and non-resident is $650. But for not-for-profits, civic organization, schools, local, it's $30 an hour. So what I'm saying is, it's for that same 4-hour block, it would be $120 versus a potential of $550 or $650. It's a greater discount. So,
Perfect.
I knew you'd ask.
That's very helpful. Great, thank you.
Drink your water? No.
Sorry, I
sorry.
apologize.
If I did, sorry. So.
Good. All right, that's very helpful.
But I think I want to be very careful here when we discuss not-for-profit schools, because I'm afraid the next thing that's going to happen is governments and municipalities, and we know this is not necessarily germane to the Rye Town Parks Commission, but very germane to Crawford Park.
Right.
And because it's within the jurisdiction, and why it's so important is because the Rye Brook Day Camp takes place in Crawford Park, and it would have quite an effect on our pricing. So I need to, for full and fair disclosure, get that out.
Mayor Feinstein, we had a list at the end of last year, I believe, Bishop, you gave the commission a list of all the users of
we have it
the
here.
park, right?
Yeah.
There were a number of, like you said, fire departments, schools, things of that nature. Some paid, some didn't. We didn't really know why that happened.
Churches and the like. And, it concerns me because especially those, and we're sensitive to revenue. On the other hand, we still have this overriding philosophy of getting those organizations to use the park. And it may be also people who use it in that context who've never been there before because it's part of an organization may come back. So it might be an indirect marketing effort as well.
Well, unless we can do another thing, and I don't know if it's a lot of effort, but maybe we should actually break down the true cost to Rye Town Park for an event to be hosted, i.e., Bill? I mean, just to get a tangible, substantive item.
It's a can of worms to try to sit down and figure out exactly what the cost is.
No, it's difficult.
Well, why is that?
It's not impossible.
Capital expenses that nobody's paying for.
Well, wait.
No,
so
I'm just saying what the employee costs are.
The operating
The operating costs.
Physical cost.
Well, wait. Yeah, hold on.
You wouldn't have the event if you didn't have the pavilion.
That's the highest cost would be the physical.
But we can attribute